I'm Cristian Luna-Leal. I live in Lake County and I've grown up here my whole life. My family moved up here from Mexico, so they immigrated from Mexico to Colorado, I think specifically. And then eventually we ended up going into Leadville, or they ended up moving into Leadville. A lot of our Latino community does not live in town or in the homes. They live in mobile homes. And even if they do live in town, a lot of them do end up living in mobile homes within town. Not everyone, of course, and there's a lot more inclusion now than it used to be, but heavily speaking, the majority of our community, Latino and Hispanic community, lives in the mobile home areas. So that means for a lot of them who were especially outside of town where they didn't get direct access to the water pipelines like Mountain View, um, they didn't have things like, I mean, basic things like fire hydrants. There's no fire hydrants still to this day in Mountain View, which is a heavily populated area, and there has been multiple fires in the mobile home park. Drinking water, of course, is all handled by the mobile home park owner. And up until recently, there wasn't much restrictions on how that quality of water was, and it was really difficult to kind of call them on it for it. So if you did end up using the water even to brush your teeth, you could get cavities. For example, I and the majority of my family who lived there at the time would have bad teeth because of it. And as soon as we moved out of town, or sorry, out of the mobile home park into the town, we stopped having teeth issues and we brushed just about the same amount. So it's, a clear indication to me at least that there is issues with that water and it predominantly impacts our Hispanic and Latino communities because they're the ones who live there. And to this day, you have to buy bottled water. We used to go to the grocery store and fill up our water from one of those big jugs that you'd take in and you fill up the water. We'd fill up a few to drink, but we don't have that option anymore. So people end up buying plastic bottled waters, often from grocery stores to be able to drink their water. And a lot of people tend to cook with that water as well, rather than using the tap water. So, it's all a clear like connection to like health and safety issues with, at least from my perspective, health and safety issues with the water. And even just like bad smells, bad taste, making it somewhat undrinkable, even if there was no health and safety issues, it still cosmetically has those issues, which I would feel like if we were to do comprehensive tests on it, it would still show that there's safety issues with it. But I think that really is how it impacts our community the most. It's just it gives us less access and has us rely on much more expensive alternatives like bottled water, which is just way more expensive than the water fees that we pay for tap water here. One of the biggest ones that worries me is obviously for me climate change, much like many other young people. I'm concerned about the future of myself and my kids, if I had choose to have kids, about like how our planet's going to look, as well as the people who are currently impacted by it. I mean, it's a current issue and it's heavily impacting a lot of already marginalized communities, and causing a lot of migration, and removing people forcefully from their homes that they want to be in. So from that aspect, I think that is by far the biggest issue. But I think a close second for me is definitely contamination of land, especially around marginalized communities in general, to be honest. But here, I would say in Lake County, there is a lot of contamination because we used to be a mining town, Leadville, and it was at one point a Superfund site because of how bad the contamination was. So, growing up with that and learning about that as a young kid, in like my early elementary school ages really helped kind of show me that there's still a lot of issues with that because they would be describing, contaminated water, and then I could tie it back to, oh, well, that sounds like the water we have at home, back in the trailer park area. Obviously, it's a little bit different, but it still kind of helped shaped um, my perspective, and it's something that I'm still very concerned about because I don't think that we have really fully done our due diligence in our mobile home park areas to make sure that the soil isn't heavily contaminated with lead. A lot of the soil on the east side of Leadville is heavily contaminated with lead, and I don't know that those types of tests have been done in the mobile home parks. Any other type of contaminants or like mine waste that could have contaminated other mobile home parks. I don't think we've really done our due diligence that we've needed to really like look into that as much. And especially with more projects coming underway, specifically a new project that's going to be mining tailings, or as they want to refer to as remediating tailings, which is old mine waste. Um, Near a right upstream of a mobile home park. Like there's concerns that I have with that heavily. They're saying they're using novel technology that hasn't been used as much, and it's really hard to find a lot of research. So that's something that I really want to stay on top of more and try to understand what options we have to be able to address it. Um, Even if their mining or remediation process works and it doesn't cause contamination, what about the trucks that are carrying the tailings that haven't been disturbed in a while or anything else? It's really hard for me to feel comfortable with that given our history of Lake County and the homes that it would impact if it does end up impacting, because it's going to go downstream towards Buena Vista or and on that way is a mobile home park, a mobile home park made up of primarily Latino Hispanic community members. So I have a lot of concerns about that. And that's a project that's currently underway, of course.